Welcome to Mojo Talks, where we explore the world through stories. I'm Mayur Channagere, visual storyteller and your host.
ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्.
Welcome to Mojo Talks with Mayur Channagere. Today we are going to talk about the practical applications of yoga and the science behind it. And we have Dr. Manasa Rao to talk about it. Dr. Manasa, thanks for doing this and welcome to the show.
My pleasure, Mayur.
So, usually I give an introduction to my guests, but I think it's only fair that I let you do your own introduction because you come from such a diverse background and there's so much that has led to who you are today. So, if you could quickly give an introduction and then we can start.
So, I come from a typical old Bangalore household where my parents, my father comes from a family with a complete academic background, and my mother from performing arts. So, my sister and me, we had a beautiful blend of both these worlds together in our growing up years. So, interestingly, it was the only yoga practitioner in my family was my grandfather, my mother's father, who was also a homeopath and a musician. And I have not seen him practice yoga, but whatever, because he left his body when I was too young, and whatever I gather from what people say about his practice, his was a very akhada style, very raw, very real kind of hatha yoga practice. But my practice started much later in the year 1995 in a very small neighborhood yoga class. No fancy sticky mats, no fancy yoga clothes, no yoga studio. So that was my actually my foundations of yoga was laid at that point of time.
Okay.
And I still hold those values very dear to me. I think whatever I have done in terms of yoga, whatever has come to me in terms of yoga, I still hold those values very, very dear to me. Now, just after that, academically, I started, I studied psychology and media studies and English, and I became a film editor.
Yeah, you spent about close to a decade plus as a media editor and in that field. A huge jump.
Yes.
So, how did the switch happen?
Today, a lot of people, we can see that, they do teacher training courses, they transition from a profession that they are into and they come
Correct.
to teaching yoga. But for me, it was not about transition, it was about transformation. I was doing yoga all through, and it was when my son was born that even during my pregnancy I was continuing my practice, and during my pregnancy I'd gained about 20 kgs, like most of them do. But postpartum, when my son was about I think 10 or 11 months, I had slowly gotten back to my original body weight, my previous body weight. Now, body weight is just one part of the story. But when I had actually consciously taken a break from my film editing career to be a full-on parent. Now, that was a conscious decision at that particular point of time, because I didn't have, today I speak about yogic parenting and techniques of yogic parenting that you can adopt. But at that point of time, for me, I didn't have any blueprint saying this is what I want to do as a parent. But I just wanted to be present as a parent. That's all I was looking for. So during that phase, since there was a pause to what I was doing professionally, something was brewing inside me that I need to take this yoga journey, a little forward, a little ahead. And there was an intense desire to study yoga philosophy. That was always there, but it never, I never, that pause gave me an opportunity to start studying yoga. So, like they say, it takes a village to bring up a child.
Bring up a child, yes.
In my case, it took an entire village to actually nurture and feed my desire to learn yoga, my hunger to learn yoga. So I had a very supportive husband and a family who were all, so keen on me studying yoga. And at that point of time, I came back to S. Vyasa University. I say I came back to S. Vyasa University because my first teacher was from S. Vyasa University.
Oh, okay.
And post that, I had practiced all the other different kinds of schools of yoga. I'd been introduced to that. But when I wanted to study yoga, I came back to S. Vyasa because they had this particular course which was called a teacher training. But what interested me was the curriculum of that particular course.
Okay.
So I never looked at yoga to become a yoga teacher. That was not at all my intention. Okay. But I just started being part of that course because their curriculum was, I think, the best, that even to this day. So I did my yoga teacher training. Then there was no looking back. I did my MSc in yoga and then PhD in yoga. And meanwhile, when all this was happening, I even met, or I would not say I met, but my guru entered my life, who initiated me into the most esoteric, subtle path of yoga. So it's been a tapas since then. That's all I can say.
You just mentioned that you went deeper into yoga practice, and it was post your pregnancy, isn't it? And I can't say I understand or have experienced what a woman goes through, but I've seen my wife go through postpartum. Your body goes through a change, your mind goes through change, and you are dealing with something completely new that you're unaware of, and it's not an easy phase, right? And how did yoga help you, or was that also a trigger point for you to find your balance, or through yoga?
See, like you rightly said, it's a phase that's not easy to sail through, because you have a tiny soul out there, you need to take care of that along with your own body. And, there are like so many variables.
Variables, absolutely.
So,
variables which are unknown.
Exactly.
Right.
So, with respect to how yoga practice had helped me, see, because I was just practicing yoga just like any one of them who goes out there to the class and just does their practice, does their pranayama and kriya practice. And so it was just that for me till that point of time. But during this phase, when I continued the practice, probably there was muscle memory, and also the kind of pranayama practice that I had done earlier, in fact, helped me in having that good, quick sleep, and be a little more calmer while handling situations around me. So it was only at that point I realized what yoga had done to me. Till that point, it was like, okay, yoga is just another practice. But pregnancy made me realize what yoga can really do to a person. And I said, now I need to share this with people around me.
Of course, there's this whole physical part of it. Then you mentioned about the emotional part of it as well, the mind, right? I mean, you were able to deal with all the scenarios. So, I might be wrong in saying this or asking this question. Today, when I see people, a lot of people look at yoga, majority of them would look at yoga as a physical activity or a way to lose weight or gain flexibility. It's more of the physical attribute. But from whatever little I wouldn't say I have done yoga much, but whatever little practices that I have tried, I find yoga to be more of a mind thing, isn't it? It's more about calming your mind. It's beyond the physical, because a couple of months ago, I there was a stressful period of time, and I took a workshop on conscious breathing. Right, that one session made so much of a difference. I mean, a 2 hour session, who would have thought, right?
Yes.
So it is beyond the physical part. So you want to share your thoughts on that?
See, today, like you rightly said, people come at the doorstep of yoga because they have a particular ailment or they want to lose weight. So they are looking at tangible results, okay? But they don't realize that yoga, when done, whether it is asana, whether it is pranayama, how much ever little practice that you can do every single day, it is working at a much, much deeper level than you can even think of.
Correct.
Now, see, we can't see a person who comes to yoga the first day. I can't tell him, look, this is the true purpose of yoga for a person who's suffering from a particular ailment. For that person, coming out of that ailment is goal one.
Correct.
Okay, now you've
Achieved that. Yes.
Now what next? Okay, so that's how we need to progress in today's world. But that's fine. Okay, if people are coming with a particular motive in mind, that's fine. Yoga will give you that, but yoga will give you much beyond that. So the true purpose of yoga is something else. Okay, something much, much bigger and greater. That will slowly get revealed.
So how does one go about that? You lightly mentioned that you start yoga with a particular purpose, right? Could be physical, could be mental. But then how does one keep that momentum on? Because we all start, okay, just like joining a gym or taking up a form of art, and so we start with that rigor and the
Yes.
josh.
Yes.
But then at some point it just trickles
Yes.
down, right?
Yes.
So how
Yes.
does one keep that momentum on?
See, firstly, we need to understand. I'll tell you the true purpose of yoga. See, when we understand that, when we put little wisdom into our practice, it makes a lot of difference. Like there is a particular scriptures say that sarvam eva dukhamayam. That is, the entire world is filled with pain
Pain.
or suffering. That means that every single human experience entails pain. So it's tinged with pain, and that's part of a fabric of life, isn't it? Whether it is love, loss, attachment, or separation,
Correct.
there is pain that
Unless
comes
you-
along with it.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is, Maharshi Patanjali says, Heyam dukkham anagatam. He says in his Yoga Sutra, and I feel this is the greatest true purpose of yoga, which means that through the practice of yoga, you're actually avoiding the suffering that is yet to come. You don't even know what that suffering is going to be in your future, and you're actually working on that today by doing the yoga practice.
Wow.
How beautiful is that? So imagine that you can prevent the future suffering, all right, by being in the present, focusing on aspects of your life that you can control today, so that you can let go of it slowly, those habit patterns slowly, one by one, so that you can prevent your future suffering.
So that's so beautiful.
Yes. Now, he's not stopped there. He gives two major guidelines. He says through abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasa means persistent practice. All right. So again, how should the practice be? Like you said, not just one day, but the practice should be satu dirghakale nairantarya satkarya sevito dridhabhumihi, which means dirghakale, for a consistent period of time, and nairantarya, uninterrupted, satkarya sevito dridhabhumihi. If the practice has to become steady, then there should be faith and devotion. Okay, faith in what? Not blind faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the teacher, faith in the path. Okay, and then there should be vairagya. So vairagya means,
Letting go.
yeah, letting go. But what do we have to let go? We have to let go of outcomes, desires, our emotions.
So
And
beautiful.
that is so beautifully done with the practice of yoga. And that is the true purpose of yoga. And how do we get consistency? Of course, like I can just say, okay, today, okay, Mayur, we need abhyasa and vairagya. But consistency doesn't come overnight.
It has to be through practice. It has to be through having that mindset to constantly
Show up.
show up.
Yes. So imagine a cricketer, okay, a bowler. He practices day and night for that one particular delivery to get that perfect line and length. And why? Because just that one delivery can change the trajectory of his career.
Career,
Okay?
everything.
Exactly. So, as yoga practitioners, we need to practice day and night. Why? Because for that one moment of breakthrough, one moment of clarity. Now, what happens is generally before that breakthrough happens, before that peace, we hit that calmness. We just give up on our path, saying, "Okay, I am not enough. The path, the teacher is not good, or whatever."
Correct.
So we just give up. But how does consistency happen? It is, see, we also tell ourselves that I don't have enough time. Okay, we all have 24 hours in a day. That's more than sufficient. But what happens is it's our own internal wiring which stops us. What is that internal wiring? Is our own gunas, our own personality traits that we are born with, and our own samskaras. Samskaras are habit patterns. And sometimes when these samskaras get even more stable and strong, what we call as vasanas, it takes even more time and effort to undo it.
Wow.
So it is our own samskaras, our own vasanas, our own gunas that prevent us from just
Taking the first step.
taking the first step.
And I loved what you just said because it goes beyond yoga.
Yes.
Right? Anything even me at one point before quitting my job, I don't have time to pursue a hobby, or I don't, I want to do this, I want to paint, I want to read, I want to take up some whatever. And the bottom line would always come down to that point of saying, I don't have time.
See, we procrastinate because we think we have too much time. The moment we understand that I don't have time and there's so much to achieve, like for example, if this moment is the last moment that I'm going to spend in this particular lifetime, I would not go shopping or doom scrolling on social media. I would like to understand why I'm born here in this particular body, in this particular family, in this particular environment. I just want an answer for that.
True.
So that urgency creates that discipline. And we always think that consistency will come with motivation.
Yeah.
But consistency will come with a realization that I don't have enough time.
I don't have. So that's so deep. Because, if I look at my own life, there are things that I've been pushing, saying, okay, not today, it's not perfect. Or, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. But at the same time, is that taking the first step,
Yes.
right? And being in that path.
See, there is also science behind this. We call that neuroplasticity or brain plasticity. So, how do we change the patterns of behavior? The patterns of behavior, brain plasticity or neuroplasticity is a concept wherein the neural network, okay, that fires together, okay, are stronger. So, which means that if there is a habit pattern, okay, that gets reiterated time and again, the neural pathway becomes stronger. All right. Now, if I change that pattern of behavior, it takes time because that neural pathway is very strong. Now I need to unlearn, I need to rewire this pathway and form another pathway. So it takes time. So if you understand that and be gentle with yourself, saying, look, this is going to take time. This is not that easy. All right. So when you understand neuroplasticity, we again come to what Patanjali said about pratipaksha bhavanam. Pratipaksha bhavanam means that whenever there is a negative thought, immediately you need to replace it with a positive thought. Okay, so that is, you have to recognize it, you have to replace it, recognize it, replace it. So people who have undergone trauma in their life, so once they are in that same mode, in the same loop, the only way for them to come out of that loop is through pratipaksha bhavanam. Okay. And by understanding that, it's going to take time. And yoga is a beautiful way through breath, it can rewire your system. Yeah, like there is the fMRI scans which say that there's a part of brain called hippocampus. And it's in particular, it helps us in learning and memory. Okay, this particular part of the brain shrinks on stress and expands during meditation. So imagine how deep that you're going with your breath and your meditation practice. So when you understand all this, you will definitely show up. You'll definitely be present. So it is not about that one day's intensity workout.
Correct.
That doesn't work. So for that rewiring of that neural network to happen, it has to keep getting reiterated time and again. For that, consistency is the only way.
One thing that I've observed is whenever I met you, there's a sense of calm. You're always positive. How does your day start? And if you could also add a bit about Brahma Muhurtam and the things about around that, but we'll come to that. But I want to know how your day starts and how is your day through from the time you get up and what's your routine like? Because you definitely have a positive aura, but I'm sure you have your ups and downs. But then you are very calm. So I just want to kind of tap on that side and see if I can steal something from there.
All right. I'm laughing. You know it why? Because I have not discussed this anywhere either on social media or that, because I'm a little secretive about my dinacharya. I'm not being secretive because I just want to hold some information back. It's nothing of that sort. It is just that I don't want people to blindly follow what I do. See, because sometimes I wake up very early, like, of course, people today say Brahma Muhurtam is the right time to wake up for your yoga practice. But Mayur, I wake up some days much, much earlier than that. Some days much before 3 a.m., 2 a.m. So,
wow. Probably most of the days I go to sleep around that time.
I know.
Maybe I should just stay awake.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, I would not suggest that. But I'll tell you why I don't mention this is because I have developed a particular routine, my diet, in terms of where I'm spending my energy on. I'm very, very alert and cautious about that. Okay. So, when you have such an internal environment, it is very easy to wake up for your sadhana. See, depending on my sadhana, I just wake up whenever it's required. Sometimes I need to give up on it. I know I just have to tell another secret here. So the secret is that you have to improve on your sleep. So before you sleep, you have to do deep breathing. And if you're aware of the Yoga Nidra practice, use the techniques of Yoga Nidra to go into a deeper, much calmer sleep. Okay, so when you hit that point in sleep, you don't require that 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep because the quality of sleep has improved. Now, when the quality of sleep is good enough, you can function well. So that's how I start my day. And then, of course, my classes take over. And I just, my
Then you have your
son,
routine.
and I have my routine. So, yeah. But most of the time, what I do is I spend my most of the waking hours doing something or the other related to yoga. So either it'll be reading, writing, teaching, practicing. So that's how my routine is.
So you mentioned about the quality of sleep, and I'm a kind of guy that doesn't matter where. All I need is a pillow. Or at times even sitting, I just have to close my eyes in a couple of seconds. I'm out like a rock. But yes, the quality is what is missing. So there are times when you get up not fresh, right? And that kind of lethargy continues. So how does one work on that in terms of, if are there any specific practices? I mean, you mentioned yoga nidra, or for a layman, how does one kind of at least start?
All right. So the best way to start is belly breathing or diaphragmatic breathing. Okay. So you need to work on your diaphragmatic breathing. Deep breathing brings in a sense of calmness and clarity. So that is your starting point. So then again with say asanas or with kriya practices, like you can't just sleep holding so much of toxins within you. You need to cleanse yourself,
Let
cleanse
go.
yourself internally. That is very, very important. So the kriya practice will give you that lightness in the body. Okay, the Shat Kriya practice I'm talking about. And then there is pranayama. So there are certain pranayama techniques that can be done in the evening that are fantastic to hit that calmness. And basically, you didn't have to digitally detox yourself out of force. You will just not feel the need to use technology. You need to arrive at that point. So that will gradually happen. That will not happen overnight.
Yeah, it'll
It's a
take.
it's a practice.
It's a practice. It takes a lot of willpower. One to bring the routine, uh, and to digitally detox. We had this habit even before sleeping, seconds before sleeping, also you're doom scrolling.
Yes, you need to
Right.
have a night routine. That is a must. You cannot have blue light at least 2 hours before you sleep. That will really trouble your sleep. So
Interesting.
you need to be off that blue light at least 2 hours. You need to have a night routine where you calm down yourself. You just focus on those little things. You can just have a nice conversation with your family, or you can just go deep, or just do some deep belly breathing, or do some Brahmari pranayama, or just some Omkara chanting. Just reflect on that particular day and have some nice thoughts in the night. See, I'll tell you what, you can try this. The thought that we sleep with generally is the thought that we wake up with. So, which
True.
also means that during that sleep hours, whether it is 6 hours, 7 or 8 hours, we are actually mulling over that thought.
Correct.
Okay. So, what we actually do in mantra sadhana is we sleep with a mantra, chanting a mantra, which also means that during that time, that entire duration of sleep, our subconscious mind is actually chanting the mantra for us.
So I do that. There are three slokas that I think all of us, everyone in our family, it's like good night. Like no matter what, we chant that. And I never thought of it because now that you mention, when I say I can sleep, knock off in seconds, it's actually the mantra. The minute I chant the mantra, next second, I'm actually
Yes.
out. And the other thing that you mentioned about is spending time with the family, chit chatting. Now, when I look back, it's those odd days when, before sleeping, you're playing Uno with your kids or you're just sitting and chatting, you're laughing, are the days that I actually have a very peaceful sleep. So, detoxing your mind.
And also, along with that, for a very good night's sleep, you need to have your dinner early. That's a very, very crucial aspect, because you cannot just have your dinner and hit bed. That is,
Why?
see, the digestion process is on. Okay, you just have to give that 3 hours gap before you sleep. So yeah, when the what we call as Jataragni, the digestive fire, is working, so let it do its work
Look.
and keep the dinner light.
Dr. Mansa, we just want to take a small pause there because we spoke about how you started yoga and how one can travel through a similar journey, find their bearings, find their path. But we will come back with more deeper questions in our next episode, so stay with us. For everyone out there, I hope you like this part of my discussion with Dr. Mansa. Come back for the next episode where it's going to get more interesting.